said it.
Run when you hear that. You better run when you hear that.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up.
Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Get your weapon, get your blade out. Damage, then you gon' pay up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up. Turn it way up, turn it way up.
Crank that volume, turn it way up, way up. Crank that volume, turn it way up, way up. Yo, crank that volume, turn it way up, way up. Put your hands, put your city, put your fans, put your state up.
Yeah, look, I ain't about to tell you twice. We on different levels and you better get the balance right. We not eye to eye, we are not
What's up, people of Ohio? I think arguably the greatest state in all of the Americas, and welcome to the freshest edition of the OH.Report video podcast, hosted by me, Brian Skoronsky, riding solo today, at least in studio, but I got a bunch of friends who are going to be calling in shortly to go over a whole lot from the world of sports and beyond, including the Ontario softball team, who will be making just their third ever regional appearance this week, ending a 37-year drought of not winning a district. That's my age, so it has been a long while for those Lady Warriors to get to this point in the season. We also have Travis Brady. He's going to be calling in from Lancaster on site for the Northmor versus Fairfield Christian game. Can the Golden Knights get one step closer to doing what the Ontario Lady Warriors did and get to a district championship game? That's what Travis is going to discuss with me. Blade Tackett may join as well, Northmor Athletic Director, and whoever else he can find out there who headed to the game from the castle. Hayden Gray will be down in Fredericktown today. He's going to be calling in to talk to me about the Freddies matchup today against Liberty Union, who went all the way to the state Final Four last year. Can the Freddies knock them out of tournament play tonight and advance as the top seed in that Central District? We will discuss as well. We will also touch on the life of Jim Brown. I mean, what an impact guy he was for so many different avenues of life, not just the athletics, also a great actor, and of course a big-time advocate of just people's rights here in America. So we'll discuss Jim a little bit and then close out by remembering some senior athletes in and around the area, basically just seniors in general, since it's graduation season and we have to say so long to a lot of these young kids that we've just gotten to know. So that will be how we wrap up the show. But first, let's begin with the NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals, which nobody saw coming. Oh, man, what has been going on so far? We got to talk about last night's game first, so go ahead and roll that footage from what happened. Heat at home in Game 3 against the Celtics, who were a huge favorite to make it, not just back to the NBA Finals, but win the whole thing. They got crushed last night on the road, 128-102. So they're behind now 3-0. The superstars for the Celtics, they never showed up at any point. Jason Tatum has really been a big disappointment so far throughout this entire series. Didn't get much from Jaylen Brown either in last night's game. Jimmy Buckets didn't have to come through that much. 16 points for him. Bam Adebayo, 13, but basically all of his highlights were spectacular dunks. He was flying in and around the painted area all night long. And basically, I just think this is one of the most unlikely underdog stories that we've had in recent NBA memory. Heat, of course, as mentioned, up 3-0 right now on the Celtics. And they had dudes last night like Gabe Vincent, just couldn't be stopped. When have we had a Gabe Vincent sighting quite like this? 29 points for him. Duncan Robinson was awesome with 22. And so with all that being said, we got to welcome in our resident Celtics fan here, Adam Thompson, who normally he's behind the scenes, but we got to look at him here shaking his head. He's not real happy with what's going on, of course. So Adam, where did things go terribly wrong for you and your team? What are you seeing that has put them in this mighty, magnificent hole?
I would say things have gone bad at Game 1. Prior to this series, I was even telling you as a fan that Jimmy Butler just annoys me. Annoys me so badly. And we're starting to see why he's so annoying. I'm pretty sure at this point it is a mental game, and the Celtics have got a lot of baggage going on in the locker room. Coach Joe has even publicly said that now. So whatever chemistry we had just 365 days ago, goodbye.
It's been shocking, though, to see it all come unraveled, because we just saw Jason Tatum with the all-time best Game 7 performance in the history of the NBA in the playoffs. Now, all of a sudden, 3 games in, he doesn't have 51 combined points, so I'm not sure where his confidence is fading and what's happening with him, the chemistry with not just Brown, but the rest of the team, because there's nobody that's really been able to get it going for the C's. It's not like this has been a close 3-0 rush for the Heat. They've been kind of dominating.
Yeah, not even close. And that's what the sad part is. Last night I didn't get to watch the game, but I was checking in on the score, and I was telling you, it felt like the Game 4 of our final series, whatever the game would be, they just gave up. Who loses by 20 points in a game 3? Like, it's still a series at this point. Like, both teams, I mean, the Celtics are supposed to defend the home, but you don't. All right, you go get those 2 on the road. Oh, you're just going to give them up on the road too? Well, hey, enjoy your early vacation coming up, but I hate to do it, but props to the Heat too. This is an 8-seed team that is clawed their way from out of the grave. Like, they aren't supposed to be here. Not at all.
They almost didn't even get into the tournament. If you think back to a month and a half ago, Atlanta actually dogged them at their place in the play-in game, so they had one more shot at it. They were at least able to take care of Chicago, and for Heat fans, it's all just kind of working out now. Jimmy Buckets and the boys, they've just got a demeanor. Coach Spo, he's proven he's one of the best in the business, and on the other side, there's no game plan matching or any kind of chess moves. It doesn't seem like Coach Mazzulla has in his back pocket to pull out at this point. So
no, it's full-blown just try to look like you got it under control. And on the inside, you absolutely have no idea what you're doing, what's going on. And Eric Spoelstra is just taking this as a regular, it's Tuesday. Let's go out and get a win here.
Do you feel like there's any shot that the Celtics win Game 4?
No, I honestly don't. I believe in their heads it's mentally over with. What do they have to win that Game 4? There's no pride left, and there's no Celtic pride. I'm kind of expecting a little bit more of a shakeup at the end of this season between Jalen and Jason. Something's got to give. It's been a great experiment, and it's gotten so close. Like last year knocking on that door. I mean, we're in the finals, so you don't ever expect to take a step back. And unfortunately, when last year you're in the finals and this year about to get swept out of the conference finals, that's a major step back. That's worth that. Some teams are willing to blow up the whole team over that. I'm hoping, as much as I love everybody on the team, I love winning more.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what does become of the roster during the offseason for the Celtics, but definitely looks like the Heat are moving on to the NBA Finals. All right, Lakers-Nuggets, same situation, except for in this matchup, it's Denver that is the number 1 seed, LA is the number 7, and it's been 3 really tightly contested games. Nuggets, though, do lead the series 3-0, but should we be surprised by this? I say no. I know that the Lakers made all those fancy, great moves at the trade deadline, and they've been the hot team, one of the best in the Western Conference since those moves came, even with LeBron out of the lineup towards the end of the regular season. But the Nuggets won 53 games in the regular season. They got the 2-time MVP on the roster, and Jokic has been nothing short of spectacular throughout the entire playoffs. And can we give Jamal Murray some cred? This guy, it doesn't seem like he gets the type of level of respect that I feel he deserves. He's a top-level caliber superstar when healthy, and I think he showed it in Game 3. 37 points or something for him?
He's
He's
averaging
unbelievable.
over 30 for this entire series.
So I think that the Nuggets, much less of a surprise to me, even though the Lakers were the sexy pick, and a lot of people in the media actually took LA to move on, but mostly I do feel like they just kind of wanted to see Lakers versus Celtics in that historic rivalry.
They did, and we were talking before the show. That was one of the scenarios that could come out of it. Another scenario was the 2 play-in teams making it to the finals. We're getting just kind of a half of these things, and you're not going to see a Lakers-Celtics 2023 conference finals. Definitely going to see a Nuggets Heat, and you know what? Why not? Let's get some controversy in here. Let's get a little bit of parity, and not the same old teams that you expect to see show up doing it. Warriors are gone. Lakers are another one that you kind of see around this time of year. They're going home. Boston's packing their bags. They started packing up a couple weeks ago. So why not? Let's see who's now the hungriest of the hippos.
I do love growing
Denver
up in Nuggets country, of course, being from Colorado. A lot of my friends are Nuggets fans, and me too. They're kind of my secondary. They're my Western Conference team. I think it's great to see them get on the cusp and now be able to get over the hump. But I don't think LeBron's going down without a fight. I do like the Lakers tonight, so if you're on the FanDuel or the DraftKings, I think you might want to get a little bit of moolah tonight on the King, playing at home in L.A. I think they're going to at least force it back to Denver. What happens from there, it just probably it's a matter of time for them. We've never seen a team, of course, dig themselves out of the 3-0 hole, but I do think LeBron's going to show some pride. But what an interesting finals matchup it's going to be with the Heat and Nuggets, and we'll just have to see how it all shakes out in terms of ratings. All right, speaking of ratings, this softball team's been doing some big things, not only throughout the tournament, but the last 2 seasons as back-to-back MOAC champions. And we've got Sean Snow and the Ontario Lady Warriors joining us right now from practice, so let's bring them in. What's going on, Sean? How you doing out there, bud? So let's start just with that district championship game, man. It had been a long time for this program before you were able to taste what it feels like to be practicing during regional week. So being back out there, the sun is shining. It's the end of May, Sean. I mean, it's got to be a pretty fantastic feeling for you and the girls.
Yeah, we're all doing really well with it. It's kind of weird going to the district meeting today, the meeting, and everybody come up, congratulate all that. Girls are out. Yeah, we're practicing hard. Really tight.
Tell me about that Clyde game. You defeat them 5-0 for the district crown. Just how special was it for you, Sean, as the coach, to be a part of that game and see your girls build the lead and then hang on to it?
Well, bottom line is the credit goes to the girls for sure. I mean, they come in and they're determined. The nerves, I tried to take all the nerves from them. And I'm pretty sure it showed, the way I was pacing up and down the lines. But these girls were just they got a goal and want to keep playing ball. And I didn't see a bit of nerves out there on the field. We looked the whole time.
I imagine you got Jocelyn Frazier standing by out there. What a huge game for that young lady. 2 for 2, 3 RBI, a dinger. Man, just break down that performance for me against the Flyers and how well you were seeing it from the batter's box.
Well, I was a little nervous at first because she was throwing a little bit slower than the girl we saw at Bellevue. So I just knew I had to wait a little bit longer. And, yeah, it was great to put those runs on the board for our team.
After you have a game like that, take me through the weekend and just the pride that you were feeling, knowing that not only did you guys win the district championship, but you were a big part of it.
Yeah, we went out to B-dubs after that, wearing our medals. We got lots of stares. That felt good.
Nice. And then Autumn Taylor, what a game for her, too. Gave up 4 hits, but 0 runs. Obviously, you were spectacular in that game. Tell me about just putting up a goose egg in the district championship and what that overall meant to you.
It meant a lot, but it also helped my catcher calling all my drop balls and all my pitches for me.
Yeah, I see you, Kylie Snow. And Coach said that was the first time all year that he actually allowed you to call the plays at the plate. 0 runs were put up. Does that seem like maybe something that we're going to see again coming up in the regional semifinal?
I mean, it could be something, but it's a lot of pressure doing that. But I mean, I have faith in my pitchers to throw what I call, and they have faith in me to call the right pitch. So I mean, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, how about the defense too in that district championship? Yeah, so you called some great plays, and then the defense, I believe you turned 2 double plays in that game. Overall, just collectively, I mean, the whole team was awesome, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we did everything we had to do, and every time they started to get a little momentum with leading off with a hit or something, like Taylor Mullins throwing the girl out, tagging up, trying to get back to first. That was huge because that throw went so fast. I'm not sure I could have whipped my head from center field to first that fast to follow the ball. I mean, Alex's double play, that was huge for us too. The girls, just the defense in general. I said all along, in order to do good, to play our A game, to get through districts, we were going to have to play defense, and I think our girls have done that.
Yeah, speaking of Taylor Mullins, she's been swinging a big stick basically the entire tournament. Didn't have a dinger in the last game, but other than that, you've been knocking them out of the ballpark. Just tell me about the power that you've been bringing so far in the tournament and how fun it's been to just hit all those jacks out of the park.
I mean, I don't look to hit home runs every single game. I just look to hit the ball hard because I know if I hit the ball hard and I can cause people to make errors, then I'm going to get on base. So with the power behind it, it comes sometimes, and I'm glad it's came out about 13 times now this year. So
We're like, ego boost.
Let's talk about motivation with this group. Last year, you came in, you're the MOAC champs, you were playing at home, and then Clear Fork upset you at your place. How much has that kind of fueled your desire to not only get to this point in the tournament, but want to keep on going stronger?
We have something special here, like I said in my interview a while ago, and you know, we've got something cooking, and we know we can go pretty far. So that's all that's really motivating us.
That you're sideways.
It's
I know, but it was sideways.
I hear that there's a special chicken nugget that hangs off the backside of your picture. How much credit do you guys actually give to that being the good luck charm?
Every
That and the Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Yeah. I'm just saying this tropical money.
Any particular brand of nugget that you guys feel like is the best that you can all universally kind of agree on? Who makes McDonald's?
Yeah, Chick-fil-A.
We don't have one around us.
Wendy's nuggets are pretty good.
Wendy's, bro.
That's good.
McDonald's.
As you can tell, it just doesn't matter. But I think that's a McDonald's nugget that Autumn wears.
Gotcha. Yeah, so no votes for Burger King, though, right? They're out of the discussion.
No Burger King.
All right, let's talk about Mommy coming up on Wednesday, Coach, at New Regal. What's the scouting report on them? What do you know so far?
We went up and watched them play. Me and Scott and Mike and some of the girls went up and watched them play Saturday. You know, they're going to hit the ball. They got some power, a little bit of power for sure. Their shortstop hit one about 260 in the air, sort of out. But we know where to learn what with. So we have a luxury. So it's about, we expect to do good things. We're hoping to come out and jump on them on Wednesday. So we want to jump on them first, really quick. Try to break the backs.
With everybody returning this year on your roster, Sean, from last year's MOAC championship game, this had to be the expectation, right? I mean, you thought that you would be in this position.
Well, we were definitely very tried not to too confident, but yet, and you have to have what you have. You know, the thing is you get the sport. You know, you can beat teams that are better than you and teams that are not as good as you. You know what I mean? It's the game.
All right, Sean, I've got the top shows from 1986 here in front of me now. The last time that you guys, the program, was able to make it as district champions. How about the Cosby Show and Family Ties being at the top along with Cheers, man? That lets you know it's been a minute.
Well, I was a freshman in high school. You know, I don't know. Shows, I remember them.
Show a hand if you can show me the team real fast. Who's ever even heard of the show Murder, She Wrote? Anyone? Okay, a couple. How about the Golden Girls?
Golden Girls.
Oh, I've heard it.
So that is a popular one. Okay. What are some of the cool shows now? So 37 years later, what's some of the top shows that you girls are all watching?
New Girl. I like. Never heard of that one. It's a never.
South Park.
I don't know. It
Outer Banks.
Outer Banks. Seems like Netflix kind of takes it over with some of these girls.
Bridgerton.
Yeah, there's almost too many options these days. It's tough to narrow it down. Back in 1986, you had 3 different stations, and they only had a couple of different shows on. So now, with all the different streaming services, there's too much quality TV to really take in these days.
I agree, and we were our parents' TV remote. We had to change the channel for them all the time too back then. So, you know.
Right. Yeah, you actually had to get up and switch it. And then talking to Scott Krieger, who's your first base coach, in the game that you just won for the district championship, only the second time all season that he had to make the long walk from the visiting dugout. Yeah, so how has he recovered from those long journeys?
Leading on defense.
I'm still tired over here.
Yeah, still looks a little bit worn out, I can see.
Yeah.
Talk about live that long walk.
Yeah. You know, it definitely, trying to keep practices light, but keep them effective and so forth. But we're all sitting here going, man, I got so much stuff to do. Party this weekend after hopefully we keep winning, doing those little things. I think we're all a little wore out. It's worth it.
Well, I do appreciate you guys giving us some time, and just like we had you on last time about a month ago, if you want to send us out of here with a little dugout cheer, I always love hearing some of the best, most clever stuff from around the area, and you girls very loud and proud, of course, when you're in the dugout. So if you want to send us off in style, what do you got for us today?
What do you got? All right, you ready?
Kiss me on 3! 1, 2, 3, kiss me!
All right, Sean Snow and the Ontario Lady Warriors, everybody. Thanks so much for calling in, Sean, and best of luck to you. Can't wait to see you guys in action again on Wednesday.
All right, thanks very, very much for having us, guys.
Our pleasure, man. Yeah, what a cool story that is, and I think what's the best part about it is those girls, they're all so close, such a tight-knit group. Got treated like royalty when they went out to Buffalo Wild Wings after capturing that district championship. I got an opportunity to hang out with a couple of the parents. We went to the other end of town to Roosters to kind of hang out and just some storytelling, and it just seems like it's a great collective unit that they have going on, not just the players, but of course the support that they're getting from the community, from the parents. It's just it's a great story, and we're really happy, obviously, to be a part of it here on the OH.Report, but we don't think that they're anywhere close to being done. This team's got all the makings and the potential with pretty much everybody. Well, the entire roster actually is back, so when you return just your pitcher and catcher, usually you put yourself in a situation where you feel like you can go out there and compete for a district, but when you got from top to bottom 1 through 9 plus a couple of the younger kids coming up that you can put out there as a pinch hitter, pinch runner, do a lot of different things. This team has all the makeup of one that we potentially could see making a move on to Akron, and we'll have a fantastic highlight of their game coming up on Wednesday against Maumee. Travis Berardi is going to be out on location for that one, and if they were to win, we'll have to see what they end up doing with that next game. Of course, you got to get there first, but with graduation coming up for the Warriors on Saturday, do they try to make some accommodations? Do they move some things around? We'll have to find out. We'll definitely cross that bridge if we are able to get there. In the meantime, looks like, what do we got going on here? So we may not have a signal from Travis Berardi out in Lancaster, which is surprising. That's Columbus. You would think that he would be able to, but on an iPhone 7, sometimes you get what you get. So,
fun fact, Brian, the iPhone 7 also debuted in 1986.
It almost feels like it. You know, the first iPhone actually is not that old. Like 10 years old? Well, maybe about 13 years old.
I remember when it came out, I wanted one so bad. I had some, like, Windows phone. And I spent most of my days making it look like an iPhone versus whatever it actually was. So I know I was slinging pizzas when it came out, but I couldn't tell you exactly when.
Yeah, it's definitely come like such a long way. I still have my iPhone 4 was the first smartphone that I got. It's still back at the house. The thing's about this big. It's pocket size. It's fun. It's cute. But it's so slow, the processing system in that. Just to think how spoiled we are now, where if you click on something, if it doesn't immediately load, we get so impatient. Whereas back then, we were a little bit more like, hey, we got the internet in the palm of our hands. This is just cool. We'll give you 10 seconds to get our webpage. Not no more.
Well, and that's just knowing what you know. Ignorance is bliss. I loved my laptop till I worked on your wife's. Yeah. Now I hate my laptop. My laptop is a baked potato. It does really good, but it's until you know something else is out there that's better, you're fine.
Yeah, it's like that meme of the guy and the girl walking by.
Yes.
And he's looking back.
And I was very happy with my laptop.
Well, we won't borrow you Jory's anymore.
Yeah, no more.
At least your keyboard's way better than hers, even with the Sprite stains.
Those are sweat stains. That's not Sprite. That's sweat.
Little combination,
the
I think.
Sprite makes the keys sticky, but it's sweat that's wiping off the characters.
Well, you know, it just shows that we're a hard-working group here at the OH.Report, and especially this time of year. I mean, this is our first time really doing spring live streams for spring sports.
Yes.
And, I mean, you can attest, man. I mean, you're getting pretty dusty out there when you're involved in these.
I cannot believe the amount of dust that comes back. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. You've had some of my sour gummy worms before, right? I've shared at least one.
Sure.
Okay. So imagine that grit that you get from the sugaring. It's
Yeah.
all over everything. Like, I come home and I have to air dust myself. I have to air dust the laptop, all of the cameras. It's so dusty out there. And I found that out my very first live game. Like, the very first game I came back and I felt like I'd gone through Desert Storm or something.
And that's the case for all of our tripods, all of our camera. At the end of spring sports, they need a lot of love. TLC
I
is
think we
going
do
into
too.
these for sure. Canned air galore, lots of little wipes. We'll get them all set up and ready for summertime. Well, I guess if we're not getting big league out in Lancaster, this is what I can at least do for you guys. We've got the softball regional matchups for the teams that we've been covering. We've got some brackets to showcase for you guys. And Travis was supposed to take it from here. I think he said that he's got all of them in one collection, one big bracket. So let's kind of show you how we've gotten to where we are. Oh, is it a bunch of different ones?
Yeah, I've got a regional semifinal schedule, and then I just have a boatload of brackets that I can pull up for you.
Let's check out that new Regal Division II with Ontario competing in it, since we just had Coach Snow
It's
and the
not
Lady Warriors.
labeled as such that I could pull it up for you that quickly. I'll give you some options if that would work.
Yeah. What do we got?
I've got for you today a delicious D2 Bluffton.
Okay.
Our D2 Fremont is free range. D3 Central 2 just came in. We also have a D3 Shelby and a D4 Central somewhere in the back. And I think I can get my hands on some D4 Galleon and a D4 Medina.
Well, those are all baseball brackets.
Well, that's all Travis wanted to talk about, remember?
So go ahead, show me the matchups then for softball.
Okay.
We'll
then
walk
that
you
would be
through
the-
these real quick. I'll show you what's on the horizon here. Of course, Ontario, we know they're going to be playing Maumee. First time as district champs in 37 years, and they got all the pieces. Really do have high expectations for this team, and they're so hot, too. I'd have to look and see exactly how many wins they've had over about their last 15 games, but it has been a ton. They are playing tomorrow at 2 o'clock and should be a heavy favorite. Maumee unranked, of course, just like the Lady Warriors, and they kind of spoiled a couple of parties that even get to this point in the tournament. Also, tomorrow, you see there at New Regal, that is the matchup that goes down after them. So who will the Lady Warriors play if they win? The winner of that second one. The Green Wave there are taking place down in Dayton. They're going to be trying to move on. Is that Newark Central Catholic? I can't tell. The graphic's a little too small for me to see.
Sorry, I'm not used to having a mic. Yeah, they're just reusing my logo. That's Greenville.
So it looks like the only team that we really still are keeping an eye on outside of Ontario, Highland, a couple of upsets. It was sweet to see what they were able to do throughout their district championship run. They also knocked off a couple of different higher seeds in order to get to this point in the tournament, upsetting their way into regionals. And then how about the Plymouth Big Red? They take basically what we're going to call the Firelands district. All four teams that were in that district for them from the same conference. So they had an opportunity to play them not once but twice during their regular campaign. And now here they are, the victors, moving on in Gibsonburg, and a chance to move on to play one of two state-ranked teams if they were able to win. Lincoln View has been in the Final Four, I believe, a couple of times here lately. So not a tough, or not a simple road, I should say, ahead for Plymouth. We'll see. Doesn't look like great signal, but we do potentially have Hayden Gray on the line. We'll see if we can bring him in here. Let's check. Hayden at least has a newer iPhone. All right, so potentially, maybe they're just leaving me on a sideline, all solo today. Like I'm like Jason Derulo, just riding solo, all podcasts. But that's okay.
I got your back, bud.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you, Adam. So if we don't have Hayden, I guess what we'll do, you've got all those fantastic baseball brackets that we can take a look at.
Yep.
Let's begin with, what did you have for me again?
Let's see. How about I start you off with D2 Bluffton,
Bring it up.
and we'll see if how that treats you. And I'll make it bigger for you.
All right, so D2 Bluffton, looks like we've got our Upper Sandusky Rams in there. This team has been awesome so far. I'm glad that we were able to catch up with them at the end of the season when they won the Northern 10 Championship, just the second time in program history for them to accomplish that goal. And they've been kind of terrorizing some opponents. Great defense, good hitting team, and arguably, you know, one of the best players in the state right now. So I think that they got a really good shot here as the number 4 seed to emerge, get out of there. You at least would think that with the pitching that they have, that they would be able to get into the championship game there. Because I'm trying to pull up some numbers here for Caden Holman. This dude's over 60 innings pitched on the season. Adam, he's given up 0 earned runs.
That's not too bad. You don't even have to know anything about the sport to know those numbers in here. That's not too bad.
You almost never see this. A lot of times you'll see a kid that's got like a .5 ERA or a .62. You know, they got tripped up in a game or two, allowed a run here or there, but nothing as the number 1 starter. This is pretty extraordinary. Oh, by the way, too, I think he bats about 500 on the season, too.
That's insane. How many games we had on this season? Like 20-ish?
I think they just played their 28th or 29th. So
I'm trying to think of anything like comparable in my life that I can do 500.
Yeah, that's a good sample size, isn't it?
And oh man.
We're definitely not batting 500 for this podcast episode
No,
today.
but I do have some good news on the Hayden sightings. Seems like we have found some people down in wonderful Knox County that have found him a little bit of internet that they're willing to share.
Oh, fantastic. Well, let's do then welcome in Hayden Gray from out there in Freddie Country. Looks like it's a beautiful day out, sun shining, the clouds, they look like popcorn behind you. So a great day for some Freddie baseball, yeah?
Yeah, it's very warm, but it's really nice down here. I think everyone's excited that it's not raining, sun's shining, and it's going to be a nice night for some baseball.
You're still about an hour away from the first pitch. Are people starting to make their way in? What's the crowd and environment looking like out there? Because in the Central District, you get a host if you're the higher seed. So I think that's such an advantage for the Freddies getting to play there in the friendly confines.
Yeah, there's a few Freddie faithfuls already out here. There's not a ton yet, but I do expect that to change. It is a little bit later of a start, 5:30. I guess. Just some busing stuff with Liberty Union. A couple players need a little bit more time to get out here, but it doesn't seem like it's shaking things up too much. There's a couple guys out here getting some warm-ups in. Not the full usual staff out here that you would see if the game were to be at 5, but I think that there's going to be a good crowd here tonight for the home team. It is pretty nice getting to have that home field advantage.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that Fredericktown bracket that they're competing in, Adam. That would be Division III Central. And I think you got to think that they're the team to beat in here. Obviously, Cade Carpenter, he's perfect so far in the year. Nobody's been able to get to him so far. So if they can get through tonight, and I imagine, is Cade going to be tossing tonight? Do you know, Hey?
I can't confirm that yet. I was talking with resident KMAC expert Travis over the weekend, who kind of thinks that not that they want to look past Liberty Union. So I don't know. I'll have to confirm that with you. But I think that they may have Ben Mast come out, which is it's not a knock to say that he's their number 2 pitcher, but yeah. I think that he may come out tonight rather than Cade.
Which actually, when you look at the other side of the bracket, would be a wise move because of how dominant the Freddies have been so far this year. And both of those guys, the 1-2 punch, they've just suffered the one loss, and it was against a state-ranked team a few weeks back. So I do kind of like that strategy a little bit to try to leave your ace for a potential game to get you into the round of regional. But from top to bottom, I believe you've seen them in person, Hayden. This is one of the better lineups that we have in all of North Central Ohio. Fredericktown is loaded. There's a lot of seniors out there. These are kids that have been working together since they were in Biddy League or whatever they call it out there. Pony ball, I don't know. There's so many different names for the different baseball when you're a young person. And they've been having that continuity, growing and growing and growing. This has been their season. They've been looking forward to this journey.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think that this is the year that they want to piece it together. That core group, as you said, has played together for a long time, and it really looks like they've been challenged enough during the regular season this year too. I think that they've played some good non-conference opponents, and I think they put themselves obviously in the best spot possible to get that number 1 seed. I mean, and down around the central area, we don't always know a ton about some of the other teams that they could see, but I know they're not looking past Liberty Union, despite obviously, I believe his name was Jacob Miller, who graduated last year, got drafted to the MLB. I know they're not going to look past the fact that this team was still in a state Final Four, and one guy didn't get him there last year, but you got to feel like they're favorited here. But I know you guys were talking about underdogs with the NBA Finals. I mean, we got a 1 versus 14 and an 8-5 on the other side. So anything's possible, I guess, especially in high school sports.
Yeah, amen to that. You just never know. And speaking of upsets in high school baseball, we got to take a look at that Division II Fremont bracket, because you saw with your own eyes what happened to the number 1 seed out there playing at home, the Clear Fork Colts, upset by Bellevue. Piece it together for me and explain how that puzzle fit together for the Redmen to get a win on the road against a Colts team that had been sizzling, blazing hot, and especially at home. How did they go down in the Valley?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. We don't see Bellevue very much during the regular season. And I spoke with Tyler Ray after the game, and I mean, he was very open and transparent as well. Bellevue started off the year really, really slow, and in his words, bad. They weren't very good. I think the opposite could be said about Clear Fork. They've been consistent all year. So I think it was a matter of Bellevue getting hot at the right time, and I think they really just wanted to come out and prove people wrong more so. It's tricky when you get seeded with that number 1 spot. It's hard to not try and think ahead, but seeding is just such a bad thing to try and wrap your head around in high school sports. So Bellevue just came out and had the better day, and I think they're really looking forward to getting to take on Clyde, a team they beat twice in the regular season. So they put themselves in a really good spot to reach that final against either Shelby or Ontario.
And I feel like we see it just about every year. The upsets do happen, of course, in baseball, sometimes in softball. It's a little more rare because you can pitch your same girl every single night, whereas in baseball, you got to have those 2 different starters. So, really surprising to see what happened to the Colts. But then on the other side over there, how about Ontario and Shelby? We're going to get a Richland County team that's going to be competing no matter what for the district championship. You're a Shelby kid. That's an exciting matchup, man. I mean, those two, you're rivals for real. You know what I mean? So when you get to meet in the tournament, there's just a little bit extra sizzle.
Yeah, I think that'll be a really good matchup because that's another 8 seed where Ontario's really good. They've had 2 walk-off wins, so some people may say you would obviously rather go out and crush it and leave no doubt. But as a team, their morale's got to be really high. Just riding off that momentum, that adrenaline. I mean, it looks like it's got to be a really tight group, just like the softball team that you were speaking to earlier. So they'll be going up against a well-coached Shelby team who traditionally, under Coach Amacone's tenure, has done really well. And we'll see if they're able to, get past Ontario. I think that'll be a great matchup. It's kind of a toss-up. And it'll be super interesting because, like you said, guarantee Richland County team. And then if Bellevue is able to get past Clyde, either Shelby or Ontario, all of us were together in the Northern Ohio League. So it'll be, some familiar faces still, even though Bellevue's in the SBC now, and now the MOAC's Shelby and Ontario, but it'll be a former NOL matchup no matter what, if Bellevue makes it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up John Amicone because he really has been a cornerstone for them over the last decade out there in Shelby. And I got a chance to talk to him after their win over Madison in the sectional championship, something that they've done a lot of here since John has been in charge. And I know that he coached you during football. He's just an all-around. He's a great, inspiring dude for the younger generation. I think he's the perfect fit out there in Shelby. And I want you to take a listen to this interview that I had with him, Hayden, and just give some feedback about John Amicone and why this dude is the right dude in Whippet Country. Coming soon to a screen near you, John Amicone talking with Brian Skoronsky. We promise it's on the way. with me and fresh off of a win over Madison, moving on to the districts. What did you like about your team's performance collectively today?
I thought we competed at a really high level. You know, Madison played a really good game, and they played a clean game, and the whole game was actually really crisp and clean. Really quality high school baseball game that we were part of. You know, we were very fortunate to get on the scoreboard early. You know, going into the game, that was one thing we really focused on. We wanted to get the scoring going early in the game and try to get the lead early, then play downhill from there. But you know, it was a really clean baseball game.
You put together a program here that traditionally you're in these positions each and every year. What does it take to win 6 sectional championships over the last 9 seasons?
Really good players. That helps a lot. Really good quality players that are quality kids. Unbelievable assistant coaches. And one thing I'm really proud about for being here for 9 years is that we've had the same staff that whole time. You know, you know, when you have that type of cohesion, and you know, the accountability starts from me all the way down, and you know, they care. Our staff cares about our kids. They care that they get better at baseball. So just having that unity for so long has really helped.
And the community cares too. This facility is unbelievable. This is my first time getting to take in a game here this season. If you can just explain to the folks at home, I mean, they just saw how nice is this place.
No, truly blessed. We are truly blessed at Shelby, and our baseball players know that, and we made it keenly aware to them that this place needs to be respected, because there's a lot of hard work and you know, dedication that went into making this as nice as possible for Shelby athletes. So you know, like I said, we are very blessed to have this type of facility, and we always just want to make the people that made this put together proud with our play.
Well, obviously you're going to get the winner of Perkins or Ontario. Looked like they were locked up in a tight one towards the end of that game. But just moving on into that round of districts at Fremont, where is your confidence level, and why are you at that particular level?
You know, we've gotten better every day, and that's all we wanted to do. We had a particularly young team going into the season, but you know, that excuse of that we're a young team is done now. We kind of used that earlier on in the year when we weren't playing exceptionally well. Now that we're playing at a high level, we want to continue to get better, and we know we're going to have a dogfight. You know, Perkins, the district championship, Ontario, that's Ontario baseball. So that's all you have to say. They're an unbelievable baseball school. So we know whoever we get Thursday, we're going to have the work cut out for us. But our kids will put the work in and try to get ready for it.
All right, John, congratulations on a sectional championship. And we always let the athletes do this, but you got any shout-outs you want to give to anybody for the win today?
My kids, Pippa, Major, and Camp, and then my wife, who allows me to, you know, coach this for so long. It's my 12th year, and with having 3 kids under the age of 7, you know, she's an angel to let me continue to do this, and you know, I can't thank her enough.
All right, John Amacombe, bless my angels. Thanks for the time, buddy. All right, so yeah, you got to play for John, like I said, and one thing that really stuck out to me is he talks about the fact that he's had the same coaching staff in place, and even though for football they've had 3 different head coaches since he's been there, they've always had him on, and you see a lot of the same faces on the sidelines. So just that continuity over there at Shelby, from your time as a Whippet growing up, how valuable was that for you?
Yeah, you know, it's huge. I think stability in high school athletics, as long as the coaches have the right objectives with their student athletes, stability is such a huge thing. Obviously, when I went in for football, that staff was formulated, and we had everyone for the same 4 years with a few additional faces, but obviously Coach Amacombe was a part of that, and another familiar OH.Report face, you know, Eric Will was my head coach for all 4 years. So it allows you to build that connection with them, and that relationship translates to on the field as well. Just the more you're able to bond with a coach, and when you buy into what they try to put into a program, that definitely helps. So I think he makes a really good point. And I think you see a lot of that all around our area at different schools, not even just at Shelby, but stability does translate to successful teams, even if you don't have the most talented athletes.
Yeah, it's such a great point, and you're absolutely right. So a lot of times, who are the most successful programs? The one that have had a head coach in place for a long time. That's something that Shelby's been able to do, and really looking forward. I'm going to be on location for that game, Shelby versus Ontario. It's kind of a bummer that they have to go all the way to Fremont to play. Can't we get like a neutral site in Richland County? Some of the other sports have adopted that, of course. Football, we'll see that from time to time, definitely in soccer and volleyball and stuff. So be interesting to see if they end up making some rule changes here down the road. But we'll go ahead and cut you loose here, Hayden. Let you get some pre-game footage out there in Fredericktown, and definitely looking forward to seeing your highlight later tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks for I feel like I'm Travis out here. Hopefully I've held the camera a little bit more stable. Got to get my shot at Travis in here. So hopefully this was a pleasurable experience.
It's been great on our end. Thank you, Hayden. All right, and speaking of Travis, we did have Travis on the line. It looks like he's kind of cut away here. So is he not going to join us? Did he say? Let's see.
He was wanting to join us, but unfortunately, like baseball typically does, game started early.
Gotcha. Okay, so probably a treat for everybody that no big league actually on today's show. So, well, I was going to say no West Virginia reference, but then obviously I just brought it up. So, dang it. We almost went a full podcast. There's been about 80 of these things. Always there's at least one. I know it. Ball dropped on my end. You want to know one guy who never dropped the ball, Adam? Ever. How about our guy, Jim Brown? Passed away over the weekend. Such a legend in so many different regards, but clearly what he's known most for outside of his influence and his activism is his time with the Cleveland Browns and the unbelievable 9-year career that he had, voted by a lot of his peers as the greatest football player of all time. So really unfortunate and sad to hear the news of Brown's passing. 87 years old, so he lived a great life. Voted to 9 Pro Bowls, 8 All-Pros. So an All-Pro means that they're just picking one of you. He was a part of 8 out of his 9 seasons. He led the NFL in rushing 8 times, led the league in touchdowns 5 times, voted MVP 3 times, Rookie of the Year in 1957, and played in 3 NFL title games. He won 1 the last time that the Cleveland Browns, of course, have won a championship. So a few other accolades for Jim. How about 126 career touchdowns and just 118 career games? Obviously, you can do some basic math. That's more than 1 per game. He still ranks 6th in career rushing touchdowns with 106 and 11th in career rushing yards with over 12,000 and only playing in 9 seasons. If that doesn't tell you how good he was, then you need to go a little bit further into the numbers, and guess what? I've got a few more for you out here. He averaged over 104 yards per game during his career, and of any player in NFL history that's played at least 100 games, that is the best of all time. Decided to retire in 1965 at the tender age of 30 to go into some other endeavors, acting, of course, the main one. He appeared in more than 30 films during a 50-year cinematic career. And his most recent performance, I believe, was in Draft Day, of course, about the Cleveland Browns and their draft experience with Kevin Costner. Pretty fantastic movie, and he's had a few small cameos in some movies that really stick out to me. I love him in He Got Game, one of the best characters in that movie. The Dirty Dozen that he shot overseas while he was still playing with the Browns actually ended up costing him the job. And Adam, we were just talking about that beforehand. I don't think a lot of people know why Jim Brown retired after just 9 seasons. It's a pretty crazy story.
Most people retire, especially from the NFL at the position he did. Their knees are done at like 22. But no, you read this, so I was definitely hanging on your words on this. But tell everybody why Jim Brown. Was it his knees? Was it his back? Was it his family? Was it CTE? No. What was it?
No, he was overseas in England, I believe, filming The Dirty Dozen, and due to some weather, they get that overseas. It got pushed back, filming did, by a couple of weeks, so he was going to be late to training camp. And because of that, Art Modell, arguably the most hated man in the history of Cleveland, for many reasons. I guess he said, I'm going to start fining you $100 a day until you can arrive. And back then, that was big money, especially when at the height of his career, I think he only made like $60,000, his best season, something like that. So because of that, Jim was just like, you know what? I could take it or leave it. I'll just stick with acting and try to make a life out of this. And he never came back to the Browns.
What a bizarre way to retire.
Yeah, that crazy story, crazy life of a man who, this was a tidbit that I actually did not know. He finished 5th in the U.S. Olympic trials for the decathlon in 1956. That's 10 different activities that you do, of course, and widely considered the truest test of a full compilation of all of your athletic talents. And Jim Brown, when he was in high school in Long Island, I mean, this dude was not just a stud football player. He was the best basketball player in the state of New York back then. He was also a water polo phenom and is considered by many to be the greatest high school lacrosse player ever, period. Even played lacrosse at University of Syracuse, where he set all the records for the orange on the football field. So what can this man not do?
I was just thinking back earlier. We were talking about to the young man who's hitting 500. Well, you told me the touchdowns. There's a man that's doing it a slightly bit better. He's doing it 1. He got a touchdown in every game.
More than a touchdown in every game, and then the 12,000 yards in 9 seasons. Only Barry Sanders is really comparable, who also, I believe, retired at age 30. Very similar trajectories in terms of their career, except for Barry didn't have the crazy story of getting fined and not showing up to training camp for why he ended up walking away. But Jim Brown, too, what I think a lot of Black Americans know and relate to him for, I heard LeBron James talk about this, the fact that he was part of that little group during Vietnam where they were very much vocal, speaking out against it. Him, Muhammad Ali, they had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. They put together that little forum, and not a lot of black athletes back in the day had that kind of courage to step out on the limb in the 1960s and speak for their own human rights. And those three especially, it went a long ways, I think, in America to just preaching to everybody that we're all people in this together. And especially when things that maybe collectively we kind of disagree with, we should be able to stand up as one. And that's what the athletes now in today's society, they couldn't be what they are today in terms of having the voice and the platform if it wasn't for guys like that. So you do got to give a lot of credit to guys like Jim Brown for stepping up to the table. Okay, well, RIP to Jim. Definitely, if you get bored, or heck, even if you just need to put a smile on your face, run a quick YouTube search of Jim Brown highlights, and you're going to be astonished. The guy was so ahead of his time. I don't even know that there are very many guys ever in the history of the NFL that have the same type of speed and power. He was listed at about 235, 6'2", but then was a speed demon, a track star. Oh, that was another sport that I didn't mention that he was one of the best in high school. He not only was one of the best sprinters in the country, he was also one of the best shot put throwers, javelin guys, discus. So a true American legend. Jim Brown will be missed. And I did get a chance to catch a few radio interviews today. Keyshawn Johnson really stood out to me, just saying that there's not that many people when you're in a room of truly great athletes and other people that you admire, that when someone walks in, it just kind of like shuts everything else down. Jim Brown was one of those guys to where it's like, hey, I know that I'm talking to you, somebody who's a A-list celebrity, but I want to go see if I can have a conversation with that guy.
The whole room could be filled with LeBrons, but Jim Brown just walked in, so give me 1 minute.
Yeah, one of one. So the most disappointing part I think about Jim Brown's whole career, though, is that he retired the year before the Super Bowl. Okay. So, of course, long struggling Browns fans were one of the only teams that have never been able to make it to that game. So had he stuck around just for even like 2 more years, odds are probably that the Browns would at least have one Super Bowl, if not a championship, an appearance in the Super Bowl. So just a lot of weird things there.
Do you blame Art Modell? Do you blame Jim Brown? Or do you blame the Dirty Dozens?
Ooh, great questions. I think if you're going to use the word blame, it's got to go on Art.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to use a different categorization of it for Jim, just, hey, I'm a man of many talents. I can do whatever I want. It probably more just falls on the shoulder of a dude that could just – it didn't matter what it was. I feel like he's one of those type of guys in his prime as a 30-year-old when he retired. Dude, he could have tried to do any job and probably been successful. He was just one of those charismatic guys.
Coached any college or a high school athletic department to the fullest.
For sure. For sure. So, yeah, for one last time, we salute you, Jim Brown. We will definitely miss you in Cleveland. All right. Speaking of missing people, though, it is graduation season right now in the great Buckeye State. And for guys like me that work in the media industry for high school athletics, it's really fun, and the best part of the job is getting to know these kids. Definitely when you're seeing them and maybe they're a scrawny freshman or a sophomore, or maybe even some of these kids that they're built when they're young, and, you know, just watching the progression, the development of these young kids. And then they move on to bigger and better things, or at least the next chapter in their life, and we have to say goodbye. So we did have an opportunity yesterday to be a part of Clear Fork's graduation, and these ceremonies, they're always fun because of just that. You get to see one last time these high school kids in their element, being honored, all the great accolades that they've been able to accrue over their time while they're in high school, and they're just getting started. But it's a bit bittersweet too, because there's quite a few of these athletes for the Colts. I think especially those lady Colts with the basketball team and the soccer team that you felt like you wanted to root for. They were right on the cusp quite a few times.
LCP.
That's right. And just they were a group that you wanted to be associated with, and now they're moving on, and it's time for the next crop of kids to come through. So I think bittersweet is the proper terminology here.
Yeah.
It's awesome to see these kids move and advance on to the next stage of their life, but we're going to miss them.
Oh, no, definitely. These are some of the kids that when I started here at the OH.Report, these are the faces that, like, we went out to do promo videos of ahead of time. So I've seen these kids for the last 3 years, and it's just been cool to watch them grow, not only as, like, athletes, but just as people and human beings. And it's very cool. And bittersweet's a good way to say, and a lot of these kids are going to go on to do amazing things. And that's just kind of cool to get to be a little bit a part of that. Not trying to be remembered, just more of a, hey, I remember when I saw so-and-so dunk the ball or kick this crazy goal or do a backflip after scoring a goal. So there's definitely some hard working moments in this industry. But when these types of things happen and we get to see these, let me look at these. The stage is right there, by the way. It's just beautiful.
Big crowd, too, on hand for the graduation. So you could tell that it was a very liked class, a smaller class. I think 135 kids graduated yesterday from Clear Fork, and you know what, we're going to get a chance to be out at some more graduation ceremonies here over the next couple of weeks. So really just wanted to take this time to tell all these graduates that even though you're moving on to college or the workforce or whatever the case may be, do keep in touch with us here at the OH.Report. We love hearing from you, following up with you. Social media is such a game changer. You always know where to find us. So Clear Fork, all the other teams that we cover here in the area, make sure that you touch base with us here. Never lose sight of where you're from. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's show. So I do appreciate Sean Snow calling in today, along with his Ontario Lady Warriors. Hayden Gray down in Fredericktown today. So look for a highlight of his game tonight, taking on Liberty Union. Big League Berardi, he's with the Golden Knights of Northmor. We just missed an opportunity to talk with them because they moved the game up a few minutes. So can they move on and advance past Fairfield Christian? You can find out tonight on a highlight. And we've got one more highlight going on tonight. I know that our latest intern, Madeline, is out on the scene. Let me see where she's at.
There's so many people going so many places.
Waynedale, the defending Division III champions, they're at Norwayne today playing Beechwood. And that game actually has wrapped up by now, so got a highlight coming soon. Make sure that you stick with us here on the OH.Report, Facebook, YouTube. Also give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter. And we'll see you next week right here on the video podcast. And if you just tune in at any time throughout the week, we've got a jam-packed full content list for you guys of regionals for softball, softball, baseball districts, and then we'll have some track and field as well. But for now, for tonight, we out of here. So long, y'all.